Honestly speaking, photography is simply a tool for me to express a lot of ideas. I'm actually a passionate nature lover and wildlife enthusiast. So for me, photography is just a medium of expression. It's just a tool that I use to express many things related to my actual passion, which is nature and wildlife.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. As in this photograph, it's a tiger with a black background. It's just so juicy, so perfect, so incredible. It's essentially, it's like, it looks like a studio photograph of, so let's say 85 or 90% of the frame is jet black. There's no detail. It's all shadow, it's all dark. And then in this high contrast, you have this unbelievably beautiful animal in this kind of, all you see is a little bit, the little hints of the ears. You see the eyes, the face, the muzzle, the whiskers of the mouth. The mouth is open. You see a little bit of the shoulder, but it's essentially a tiger in profile looking from left to right. And I'm not doing this to be a jerk, or to be an ass, but okay. So here we have a photograph which is completely removed from its back, from its surrounding, from its setting,
Right.
and so how does this fit into the story that you want to put out today?
Sure. Yeah, it's not that every image I make is a habitat, landscape kind of an image. So what I would call this image is a low key spotlight image. So the purpose of this image is philosophical to me. It's like tiger coming out of nowhere into focus and into light. So this was so being a designer in the past, I kind of used my creative design skills as much as possible while I take photos. I don't manipulate photos in the sense I don't use Photoshop to manipulate a picture and make any image on the computer. So with respect to this photo, how this photo was shot is basically a tigress, which is very popular in India. Everybody knows the tigress. She's called Noor, and she's walking on the road at around 11 o'clock in the morning. I am the only car there because all the tourists leave at 9:30. And being a special photo permit, you can stay the whole day, which means you'll spend the whole day with the tiger. Wherever the tiger goes, you're at a distance and watching it and following it and seeing what it does. And here I am reversing my car, and the tiger is walking head on towards me. And she walks through a forest patch where there's hardly any light because it's 11 a.m. It's pretty bright sunlight, but because of the canopy of the trees, it's a shadow. So suddenly there is a beam of light falling on the path, and she stops in multiple places to look for spotted deer and look around in multi. She's very cautious, right? So when she stopped in one such spot, I immediately, I'm sure you understand dynamic range, and I realized the dynamic range of the shot was pretty, less because there's a lot of shadows in the frame, and there's a huge beam of light which is falling on the tiger's face. So all I had to do was, I keep telling my workshop participants that I had to close my eyes to envision the shot.
Yeah.
If I kept my eyes open, I'll only see what the high dynamic range of my
Right.
eyes can give me. So I basically realized that I'll spot meter the tiger and exposure lock it so that I would only expose for the places where the light was falling. And because where the light didn't fall was a natural shadow, it pushed the shadow towards a complete dark black. And for me, this is more of a fine art print rather than an image which tells you a story. Because you need all kinds of images for example, let's say I make a book on tigers of India. I need a lot of negative space to write my book's title
Sure.
and write stuff. And so, being a designer, I do make these pictures which are not necessarily journalistic photo storytelling images, but also abstracts and also aesthetically dramatic images, for example. And this is just an attempt to make a low-key image of this tiger.
I Yeah, it's like, if it's one of those funny images that if anything, it's like, it's like all of your images are just really perfect. Like, they're just really perfect eye candy. And so for this, as a like, I also have a bit of a graphic design side to my professional life or whatever. And I understand that somebody with layout experience in publishing, be it online or in print, would look at this image as the perfect the perfect image for use in a kind of use for design purposes. And on the other hand, on its own, just the tiger by itself in the light, and because the rest is so underexposed and black, you really get to appreciate, for example, the coloring of the fur, and it's a masterful shot. So I don't even know how old are you?
I'm 41.
You're 41, dude. You're amazing. Okay, let's pull back. Let's just pull back the focus a lot, and then so for whatever reason, you channeled your, out of necessity and interest and curiosity, whatever, decided to create this business where you're bringing photography to people, and it's also bringing you into this space of talking about photography and all this stuff. So talk about your business, like sell, like it's amazing. Like so it's the website's called, what's the website, and talk about
It's
that.
the brand is called Toehold. Toehold. Toehold.in is our website. So my company is called.
So toe as in your toe and hold, just
Yeah, that's right.
.in.
So Toehold is one word in English, like a foothold. Toehold is, many people ask me why this name for a company like yours. So it's again a little philosophical. So if it's a mountaineering terminology, when you're climbing a mountain, you need a toehold to grip your toes so that you can climb upper areas. So you can get the uplift. So you need a small place to put your toes in and get the grip. And I look at my company and my role in this, cycle of services as a toehold, because I ensure people step on us and they climb greater heights.
Okay.
One of my punchlines is called Summit Up, because when you climb on a toehold, you get up and you can summit to wherever you want to go to.
Right.
So that's the company name. As a business, as I said, we are in our 11th year right now.
Wow.
And probably the toughest 10th and 11th year I could have imagined. I had a great plan of celebrating the 10th anniversary, but then it was in a lockdown on Zoom that I had to do it.
Wow.
So, it's a challenging phase of business for me. 2019 was the last big year for us. After that, it's collapsed because of travel restrictions, and virtually haven't been out of India for 15 months now, for the first time in 14 years.
Wow.
I mean, the usual challenges of an entrepreneur, right now. So unless you want to talk about it, I think it's an exciting time to see what can be changed in the business model and be a little more, what can I say, weatherproof, versus just hang in and wait there for the world to become normal and get back to what we were doing.
So what landed you in? Okay, so two questions really. So what landed you into photography? So at what age did you kind of get a camera and then go and say, I like this. I like using this as my mode of expression.
Right. It's a very interesting story. My father is a photographer.
Oh, okay.
He ran a studio. He was employed by the archaeological department as an archaeology photographer.
Wow. Okay. So that's where it comes from. Okay.
And he also taught photography. So that is also something which is important in my life.
Wow.
But I must tell you something. I had never imagined I'll take pictures. I do have a photo of mine when I was 4 years old with some kind of a camera taking pictures of a neighbor, a girl was posing for me, and that's the earliest memory, or let's say a document of me holding a camera.
How old are you? 4?
4 years old, yes. So that's because I was born in a studio. I used to play hide and seek in my dark room, and no friend of mine could catch me because they were all afraid of the dark room. So I don't know if you guys know what's a hide and seek. I'm sure it's very similar in all parts of the world.
Sure.
So that was my background. But then my father also used to provide photography services to my school.
Okay.
which means he would come and take pictures of events at school, cultural programs, and fancy dress competitions and prize distribution ceremonies. And I never thought that was a great thing to do, because I would see a lot of my classmates' parents give him instructions that we would like our daughter to be positioned here and there, and my father was the service provider. As a kid, I would never feel good about my classmates' mom or dad instructing my dad to do something. And
Sure.
psychologically, I never enjoyed imagining being a photographer myself. But I must admit, involuntarily, I was learning stuff. Being in the studio in my summer holidays, I would sit in the cash counter, and I would start billing people. And back in the days, in the 80s and early 90s, people would walk to a studio to take photos, and there was no digital photography.
Yeah.
So that was the time when I used to see the business of photography, but never inspired to do photography, because I was not passionate about the genre my father was into, which was pictorial photography or studio photography, commercial photography, and stuff like that. So only when I was 19 and 20, I started gaining independence to go farther, and started going to the forest. The first time I went there was just as a bike ride and to a place where there was no traffic, and then I realized how much I liked the forest. As a kid, I was always interested in nature, but then didn't realize that it would be such a passion. So once I knew that I'm madly in love with nature and wildlife, it just happened that the camera became a tool for me to use to express my passion. So that's how it started.
Wow. Jayanth, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing just a little crack in the window of your work, because it's amazing.
And thank you very much for inviting me to join this. I'm looking forward to the outcome of this, and I'll be very happy to share it with people.
Oh, for sure. Listen, thank you so much, and best of health. I don't know how things are in Bangalore, in terms of COVID. I mean, I hope nobody in your family or circle has been really impacted by COVID. And I know India right now is going through some really difficult, hard times. So, best of health to you all, really.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you very much.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.